we can say to ourselves, this year, maybe I could do that for someone. If you've ever received an unexpected gift, didn't that do kind of something for you? Once in a while, it's nice to give something to someone when it's not an occasion. If it's an occasion, then there's a certain expectation. But just give something when your heart says you ought to give something. I don't know that my wife and I are always on the same page with this. It would probably be best if you didn't ask. But sometimes I would like to give, and she's not all that sure that maybe I should. And usually by the time she finds out, it's a done deal anyway. But there's something when you feel like you should give something in some form or other, then give it. And give it when it's not expected. Because some of the best gifts we ever receive are unexpected gifts. The second thing I learned is they gave with genuine joy. It says they rejoiced when they saw the star. Now, they probably had no Camelback GPS, but they were smart guys, and they studied the heavens, and they believed that there was guidance in the star. And interestingly enough, sometimes God does use the stars for guidance. And this is one of the most dramatic instances of all when he did just that. So they rejoiced when they saw the star, and they said, okay, now we know where to go. And it is a relief if you've traveled a long ways to know what the next leg of the trip will be. Once in a while I take a trip with the grandchildren. If Leanne is able to go along, I don't ask her to drive all that much, but she's assigned the task of navigating, and she does a superlative job of navigating. That takes a tremendous relief off of my back when if I'm driving an RV or something like that and I don't know where the next state park is, it's starting to be dusk, I don't know what exit it is and all the rest of it, I don't even have to worry about it. She's got the GPS in her phone, and she's got the book, and she's got the stuff written out. And it's a relief if you're on the road to know where you're going to stay. I have a niece, and she doesn't like to deal with uncertainty, so when they plan out much of a trip for her and her family, they plan ahead of time every motel there to stay in. I don't think I want to go that far. You got to be there by such and such a time now. But it's still a relief. These men had come a long ways, and there may have been a point in time when they weren't sure, in this town, where do we go next? And it says they really rejoiced when they figured it out. There was the star again, and there must have been some similarity, and they said, this is the star. We'll go where that star, and strangely enough, I don't know if they were going down a road and it kind of lined up, you know, with that house on the end of the street, but it was enough to give them divine direction, and they understood it. And it says they rejoiced when they saw the star, and they rejoiced when they saw Mary. And they rejoiced when they saw the child. They had gifts, and it was exciting for them to give the gifts. When we used to travel to see extended family and so forth at Christmas time, my mother used to love to wrap up gifts, fill the trunk of our car with gifts to go celebrate at one of her sister's house or something, Christmas time. There was something about the excitement of giving. And these men were so excited. They came a long ways, went to a lot of effort. They had some valuable things, and they just couldn't wait. They rejoiced. So giving a gift with genuine joy is really what it's about. Richard Foster was a poet, and he wrote this. He said, giving with a glad and generous heart has a way of routing out the tough old miser within us. Even the poor need to know that they can give. Just the very act of letting go of money or some other treasure does something within us. That something is that it destroys the demon of greed, and it rearranges our priorities. They gave with genuine joy. And their gift was personal. They didn't send it. They were wealthy enough, maybe they could have called UPS. I don't know. But they certainly could have sent it. Yeah, I've got time for that. Thinking you forgot the timer. So One of my pastor friends says, if your church is up to date, you should have electronic giving. I said, I don't want to be that up to date. Let's worship. Let's worship God. Or do both. But let's worship God. Let's give an hour and a half of our time. Let's give our attention to the Word of God, the story of Christ. Let's give of our finances. Let's give of our energy. Let's be giving people and give with joy. The gift was personal. Your presence is as powerful as your present. Referring again to the GI that's home on leave. At holiday time, your presence is as valuable as your present. If you've worked hard for the money or to build it or whatever, and you have something very special you want to give, you don't want to just have some third party give it. You want to do the giving yourself. You want to see the expression. How many times at Christmas time when our kids were growing up did we want to take a picture of some little kid holding a present and the expression on their face? Make it personal. It's powerful when it's personal. Give something to the Lord. Give something to other people. Make it personal. And then give it a gift that will last. The gift that those men gave lasted for centuries. At least the story did anyway. Give something that will last. How do you give something that will last? Some of the things that we give might break, might get lost, but the event itself, if it's special, will last. The memory of that. So one of the ways we give things that last is we give good memories. As a young boy, I remember going to my uncle's house there in East Aurora, New York. I remember the snow that used to come about this time of year from the lake effect. What Buffalo, New York was like. And we went to this old farmhouse out in the country where my German uncle farmed his farm. And it was a two-story farmhouse, and the upper story didn't have any heat in it. It just had a couple of vents in the floor, and that was expected to heat to the upper story, which it didn't very well. But I remember coming down the steps at Christmas time, and then you'd open the door at the bottom of the steps, and there was a Christmas tree, and there were presents, and there are memories. You can give a gift of good memories that will last. At holiday time, sometimes we have hurt memories, but we still have the ability, as long as we're alive, to create new memories. And giving a gift that lasts sometimes is giving a memory as much as the gift. And I don't remember some of the gifts I was given when I was a child, but I remember seeing the tree in my aunt's house. And I remember people gathering together and having a Christmas breakfast. Give a gift of good memories. That's a gift that will last. I go on vacation once in a while with our grandchildren. We have 6 of them, and we oftentimes take a long trip. And there are memories to be made for a lifetime. And there's another gift that will last, and that's a gift of a godly heritage. God has said, I will bless you for the generations that follow. Set an example of a God-honoring life. Set an example of a God-honoring life. And the beauty of that is you can start it any day you choose. Be an example before other people of a God-honoring life. Elizabeth Edwards passed away, and the people came to the church. Her husband was there, but he didn't speak. You know the story. The children had something to say. Isn't it interesting what comes out the appointed time when someone passes away? Can anyone say that person led a God-honoring life? Tony wears the shirt sometimes, live your life so that the preacher doesn't have to lie at your funeral. That's a gift you can leave, a godly heritage. Set the example of living a God-honoring life and be consistent. Choose to set the tone of your attitudes to that of a joyful faith, the kind of gift that will last, a godly heritage. And the last thing I see from that story is to give the gift now, don't wait. I don't know how long they traveled, but they took off when they saw the star and they got there as soon as they could. They had a long ways to go. But the point is, give the gift now. Now perhaps someone could have discouraged them, or even Herod himself could have said, forget it, but they had it in their mind to give the gift now. I've given a few gifts this past year that were not for some occasion. They were just to say, hey, you're a friend of mine, I love you. It's good to give a gift now. Give a gift when you have the feeling you should. Go ahead and do it. I gave kind of a small gift not too long ago, and it didn't involve all that many dollars at all. And I kind of waited out in my mind for about 30 seconds, and I said to myself, self, you know what? A week from now, you'll never miss it. You know? You could give the guy that's holding a piece of cardboard there that says he's hungry, you could give him a $5 bill or a $10 bill or something like that, and you say, well, he'll just use it for drugs. Well, maybe you will. So don't give it to him if you don't feel like it. But if you do feel like it, give it to him. You sort that out between yourself, your conscience, and God, and the guy with the sign. I gave a gift one time to a street beggar in another country where I was doing some mission work. Soon after I gave it to this street beggar, she began to carry on in another language, and I sensed it wasn't a compliment, and I couldn't figure it out. And I turned to Chuck and I said, you know the language, what's she saying? He said, she's cussing you out. So I'm glad I don't know the language. Sometimes it pays not to know the cursing language. And he said, she thought you should have given her a bigger, more generous gift. So be it. I did what I thought I ought to do. Will it be misinterpreted? Maybe. By your friends? Maybe. By the recipient? Maybe. Just do what you think you ought to do, and do it now, and believe that the Lord will speak to you, and the Lord will handle whatever happens once it leaves your hand. That's His business. But if you sense you should give a gift, give it now. All right? Okay. Get this. They were going to be all that they wanted to be tomorrow. None would be braver or kinder than they tomorrow. A friend who was troubled and wearied that they knew would be glad for a lift, and he needed it too. But on him they would call and see what they'd do tomorrow. Each morning they stacked up the letters they'd write tomorrow, and thought of the folks that they would fill with delight tomorrow. The greatest of people they just might have been. The world would have opened its heart to them. But in fact, they passed on and faded from view, and all that they left when their living was through was a mountain of things that they intended to do tomorrow. Keep short accounts. Let me encourage you. Give the gift now. I think those wise men, don't know much about them, but the Bible says where they came a long ways. They went to a lot of effort. And here's a fact that you know as well as I know. Sometimes getting close to God is a hard journey. Someone has hurt you, broken your heart, ruined your life. There's stuff. We have baggage. We have addictions. We have grudges and grievances and grief. And I imagine that journey across the desert was tortuous for those guys, even with the resources they had. Sometimes it's hard to follow the star. Sometimes it's hard to get close to God, to give the gift of yourself. But look at it this way. You give the gift of yourself, and He gives the gift of Himself. And if you understand anything at all about that, that's a deal.